I would describe Indigenous knowledge as a whole system of knowing, a whole system of ways of knowing that are informed by Indigenous peoples in place, right? And in places that we've always lived. Indigenous knowledge includes everything. Unlike Western canons of knowledge production, where knowledge is separated into disciplines or fields, Indigenous knowledge systems contain entire belief systems with everything: epistemology, ontology, methodology, pedagogy for living. I integrate Indigenous knowledge through understanding how these knowledge systems shape our relationships, particularly with the land, with people, and with place. And this includes all life, not just humans, right? And humans aren't at the top of some anthropocentric hierarchy, but rather are a living part of the ecosystem. Especially as Indigenous peoples, we have roles and responsibilities to place and to each other that are all guided by and informed by this Indigenous knowledge system. Indigenous knowledge is important because it's a system that we have been developing and we have been living by. And it's governed our way of life since what we would say time immemorial and for eternal time. It's really important to include Indigenous knowledge systems as we deal with this climate crisis, especially in the Arctic, where Indigenous peoples of the Arctic experience climate change at disproportionate rates to our more southern counterparts. So it's precarious right now to include Indigenous knowledge systems because contained within those are ways, guidelines for how to live as a human being amongst our relatives. We already have this knowledge. It's something that I think now is becoming more valuable and more relevant to Western systems of academia and knowledge production that want to find out ways to mitigate climate change or figure out just transitions forward, ways to move into a new green economy, or ways to deal with the life-threatening changes that we're facing now. The best practices to include and incorporate Indigenous knowledge systems is to let Indigenous peoples lead. So if we work with, by, and for Indigenous peoples through Indigenous methodologies, which are, created through Indigenous knowledge systems, and let them lead the way, let their voices be the starting point and their methods be the ones that are guiding our path forward. So that just means hiring Indigenous peoples as experts, in these task forces, in all of these mitigation plans and policies, meeting with governments and Indigenous peoples as sovereign nations and recognizing that sovereignty and also uplifting it through centering their voices and letting them lead the way.